Welcome to the show. You're watching BSc Prudent Investor. This is our second episode. And today we're going to be talking about investing online, using online platforms. Over the next half hour, we're going to talk about how to choose the platform, how to make sure that your investments are secure when you're doing your trades, and of course, what sort of research you're going to have to do if you're going to make all of those decisions by yourself. I have such a wonderful panel of guests joining me that I'm really excited to get this conversation started. A quick round of introduction. Sudeep Bandyopadhyay and Alok Churiwala on my right here. And on my left, we have Lancelot Dacuna and Amrish Baliga. And what makes this conversation even better is our audience of young management students who've joined us. And I'm told they're full of questions for our panels as well. Sudeep, I'm going to quickly start with you. Anyone who's buying a stock online is obviously bypassing any sort of advice they may get from a broker. At what point do I decide that I'm ready to do that and I don't need the advice anymore?
Well, I think predominantly you should be comfortable enough. You should have done adequate research about what you're buying or what you're selling before you plunge into the market and start directly buying or selling. So I think it goes little beyond your competence. Beyond your competence, I think you should have done your research before you actually get into buying or selling. It pretty much applies whether you're doing online or offline, but when you're doing online, it obviously you're doing without any assistance. So you are by default avoiding any advice which you may get if you're doing offline from the person you are interacting. So you need to be a little careful when you're doing online that you have done your homework adequately.
Well, I'm going to ask Alok here, when we say homework, and a lot of times these online platforms also give you research. There's a lot of homework per se available on the internet, and there are so many television channels now that will tell you what to buy and what to sell at a moment's notice. How do we decide what sort of advice we need and at what point we should stop?
Very clearly, we have to discern for ourselves as to why we are getting into trading or investments. I think that is where it begins. So we have to decide first whether we want to be an investor or a trader. Yes, there is a difference between being an investor and trader. A trader makes money by buying and selling, maybe in the same day, maybe in the same settlement, maybe in the same month. But whereas investors, they would do well to hold stocks, and perhaps there are certain investors who don't even like to sell stocks over a period of a lifetime. So people even look at intergenerational transfers through investments. That said, you also have to decide what kind of returns are good enough for you, because it is these returns that are ultimately going to decide the kind of risk you're going to take, because the other side of the coin called returns is risk.
All right, so there's obviously risk and return. Amrish, your company offers online trading. Right. Tell us this. As a community in India, we normally get a little nervous making a credit card payment online. How do we make sure that when we sign up for online trading that it's going to be secure, that I'm not going to lose any money, there's not going to be any money lost along the system?
Normally, all the platforms which are there are secure. Otherwise, they won't get the permission to launch it. You need to be very careful that you don't share your password. I think that's where people actually go wrong. They don't want to put the trade themselves. They tell someone else that this is my password and you can put the trade. That's something which is avoidable.
Okay, and if we were going to, Lancelot, if we were going to choose a platform, and there are so many platforms available now, can you give us a checklist that we should keep in mind when deciding which platform we want to sign up with?
I think the speed of execution and the speed at which you can refresh your rates, that is important for a person who's dealing online, because obviously he would like to trade as quickly as he can see a terminal.
But how do I find out that before I sign up?
I think it's pretty difficult to really find out before you sign up, unless you probably do a demo with the prospective online terminals and get a sense of how easy it is to navigate and how easy it is to trade, because that would be ultimately the experience is what drives you online. So if you do try out 3 or 4 different demos, you'll get a sense of which one is really suiting your style, how easy it is to navigate from the menus, and what are the different types of transactions that you can do and how you can monitor your portfolio.
All right, I'm going to open the floor for questions. Go ahead.
It's a great coincidence that Amrish sir is here sitting. I remembered that I bought my first stock of Bharti Airtel in August 2010 when I saw the news headlines Amrish Baliga is long on Airtel. And at 10:35 p.m. I became a trader when I saw the first call from Sudarshan Sukhani that go short on Airtel. So my question is regarding the psyche of the Gen Y investor like me, whether the online trading platforms, they are making the decisions and the transaction times very small. So will all the future investors, will there be no investors at all? Will everybody convert into a trader?
No, I think, each of us should know what we are. Our objectives should be clear. The problem with most of us is that the objectives are not very clear. We start off as an investor, become a trader, or we start off as traders, and just because we are making losses, we turn investors. So in your case also, I think you should be very clear. If you're an investor and you listen to me, then I think you should just hold on, because when I'm recommending something, it's normally from a longer term perspective. The other person which you mentioned, Mr. Sukhani, he normally gives trading calls. So if you're a trader, then you should have listened to me, you should listen to him.
Lathy, are we running the risk of online eliminating all investors?
No, I don't think so. I think online, or having access to the terminal online, enables an investor also to be able to act quicker. So that is something which was not there. Like if you have to dial in your broker, you get his number, then you call him, he's busy on another phone, he keeps you hanging, and then you get him. By the time the trade would have gone, and maybe the time would have gone to act. So I think online in that sense will empower investors who are investors to be able to execute their trades better. But like the distinction is that one need not buy and sell for small gaps. One can buy at strategic points and hold on till you really feel that the stock is overvalued, and then you can sell.
Just to add a point to that, you have tools like alerts. Say for example your stock is quoting at 100. You would like to possibly take a view at 110, not sell, but take a view at 110 whether to sell or not. Earlier, before we had the net platform, you had to tell the broker that remind me or call me back when it's 110. Now you can actually set up an alert. You get an SMS, and then you decide whether you like to sell or not.
In fact, I'll add to what Amrish is saying. You can actually put a sale order at a particular price also. Yes. Buy order at a particular price. These are the advantages of net. You don't need a manual intervention. Your broker may forget. You may have 200 other things to do when the price reaches 100, as he was giving an example. If you put an alert or if you put a execution instruction, it will get executed. So there are distinct advantages.
All right, so what we've learned so far is that while online makes everything simpler, it also gives us access to information that I think that all of our guests agree that we should make use of if we're going to buy or sell any stocks as investors or traders. Quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about how to decide what that stop loss or target is going to be, and we'll also talk about how much capital you need really to start as a trader online. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. You're watching ET Now. We're having a very interesting conversation on this show right now about investing online, who should do it, and how we should make sure our money is secure. We have enthusiastic audience members who have questions. Go ahead.
So we were discussing the advantages of online trading, but in the traditional way, the way my father used to invest is he used to trust the broker. The broker used to call in the middle and say, just invest in TCS. My father never used to ask a question about it. He trusted him, and there was a personal touch with that. So he used to go by the trader. But today, right now, I don't have my time with the broker. So what I do is, though I depend on the online platform, there are quite a lot of suggestions which come over. So which one to trust? And in fact, there is no personal touch with the trader or the broker who's on the online. So in that particular case, how will this online platform how will they bridge the trust deficit?
Alok, do you want to take that?
Certainly. Online platform doesn't necessarily mean you're restricted only to online trading. While some of them may be, there are also some available that give you the facility to call in. So online is an added convenience you can use. So when you're traveling, you could continue to use the online. If you're in the city, you want to talk to your relationship manager, you're free to make that call, talk to the relationship manager, take that bit of advice and do your trade. The human element is very essential. It actually can make the difference between a good trade and a great trade many a times. Also, the risk therein lies is that relationship managers, and which is the reality, often have a compulsion to make you trade more and more. We can't get away from that. So there are pros and cons of both the systems. I think each individual, having learnt what those pros and cons are, needs to exercise the judgment judiciously and take a call.
I think the other thing that we should keep in mind, Ramesh, I'm going to bring you in here, is wealth management or financial planners who, even if you don't want to consult them on every single buy or sell, you can ask for someone's help to design the portfolio or to give your portfolio some sort of a target or purpose. Tell us how we should go about doing that.
No, first of all, here you need to choose the right sort of a wealth manager who suits your objectives. It's not necessary that every wealth manager on street can give you the right sort of advice which will suit you. So I think that's most important. And once you have chosen your allocation and the portfolio, it's very important that you stick to it. There are a number of times when you do your financial planning and that's it. After that you forget about it. So you need to ensure that it is executed well and you stick to it. And you have to keep revisiting your overall scheme of things. I mean, possibly once a quarter at least.
Lancy, I want to bring you in here. The question we were talking about earlier, doing online trade right now has brought down my need for capital. The ticket size is now much smaller. I can start with a smaller amount. But does that mean that anybody can get in and do it? Should we be borrowing money and trading online, or just taking money from somebody else and trading online? What should we have, and how? What sort of risk appetite should we have if we enter with a certain amount of capital?
See, I think online has brought in people to trade with small quantities. Maybe, in fact, even the entire demat system of one share has reduced cost for the investor. But online, like everyone was saying, is not a beginner's platform. It's not that try out with little capital, use online, and then start to move to a larger amount and then go to a broker. So I think if one is approaching it, that's not the right way to do it. Maybe in other particular fields, you could try online first and then get into a physical kind of service. But I think when it comes to investing, one has to spend time and understand what you're doing, map out your objectives, and then decide how to go about it. And then you choose whether to do it online or offline depending on convenience. So online and offline really becomes a question of convenience. It becomes a question of how you can execute something, your plan. But your plan has to be in place whether you deal online or offline. And for that, I think the first thing is to really find good advice or good advisor, work out your strategy, and then stick to a plan and execute it through either of the means.
So if we were all as fortunate as your dad to find someone that he can trust through a lifetime, you have a question, go ahead.
Just want to ask that, given the fact that internet penetration as well as broadband is quite low in rural markets, given the fact that it is even low in tier 3 cities, how is it that the new online trading platforms going to enable these people who are residing in rural areas, bring them in the stock markets and make them invest in it? Just like the fact that it is so much involved in the cities. So how is it that the future of India will span out?
First challenge would be banking and rural markets.
Yeah, there are two things. Understand, this is a broking industry, can do little here. The primary challenge is the presence of broadband. Now, the rural area which you're talking about may not be having broadband, so they can't really come online. The second will be the banking. You see, online trading presupposes your bank account is linked with the broking account. So you have what people call 3-in-1 account or something like that, 2-in-1, 3-in-1, whatever way you call it. So if you don't have that, you have to have a bank account, you have to have bandwidth and internet presence, then only you can do. But I'll tell you one thing which is going to happen, and it's as we speak it's happening. 4G will be launched very soon, and as and when 4G is present across the country, and we all believe it will happen very soon. Think of it. Today the country has mobile everywhere. People don't have a bank account, people don't have probably electricity, they don't have water, but they have mobile. Think of it, the moment this is 4G enabled, the mobile phones have 4G, you can do very well trading. I may be sitting in the most sophisticated office in Bombay with all kind of connectivity. The guy 5,000 kilometers away in a rural area, he'll also have the same power with the 4G. Now, of course, there are other issues of his education, of his level of knowledge, whether he should come in the market or not. Those are different issues and they have to be handled separately.
All right, it's time for us, I'm told, to take a very quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue talking about online trading. We'll also get words of advice from each of our panelists on what we should do when we go online tomorrow morning. Welcome back. You're watching BSc Prudent Investor on ET Now. Thank you so much for staying with us. We still have questions from our audience, but I want to do a quick round of advice from each of our panelists. We're currently in what seems to be a very unpredictable market, and everybody's trying to predict what's going to happen, not just, across the country for elections over the next 6 months, but also in our markets. I want advice from each of you. For every retail investor who's going to log in tomorrow and look at his portfolio, should he be panicking at this point? Should he be reacting to all of the news that he hears? Should he just accumulate and say, okay, I'm a long-term guy? Give me one, quick piece of advice from each of you. Alok?
I think the one piece of advice that I'm going to give you guys is that think long-term. Think, buy a stock, 5 years, 10 years. That should be the kind of ideal holding period, in which case it will make speed redundant. It will make little pieces of news redundant to which you may not be able to react to, because you will probably have your exams, you will be probably searching for a job, there will be so many preoccupations in your life. As an investor, you need not react to those. As a trader, you must react to those. So think long term, start investing tomorrow morning.
Sudeep, very quickly.
No, I think I'll add to what Alok is saying, but put it slightly differently. I think you guys are young. As an investor, I can't talk about trading, I'm not an expert in that. As an investor, I think it's a great opportunity. India is on the cusp of a different level of growth. It's bound to come. Elections may produce A result or B result. It's a matter of time. We are, in the worst scenario, we had a 5% GDP growth. This 5% GDP growth, if you forget India's past track record and forget China and few other economies, it's a great growth. And this is absolutely substandard by India standards. We can probably achieve double digit. So think of the potential. You have about 5-6% inflation, which is normal. So you're looking at 15-16% growth, nominal growth. You can't get this kind of growth anywhere in the world. So this is the market where you should be investing. Pick up your stocks, pick up your sectors, but remain invested. Invest and remain invested.
Nancy?
Yeah, I think just to add to that, if you are looking at investment, this is the place to be in, number one. Number two, one has to be a little bit, do a little research before you make an investment. Because unless you understand the businesses you are investing in, you will not really become a successful investor by practice. It will become just a chance that you buy a stock because you do not understand the business and the risks that that business has. But if you do a little research and you do a little bit of study as to what businesses will grow and how the next 10 years will pan out for various businesses, choose good managements, you can't go wrong. Just stick to that and I'm sure you will be able to build good wealth for yourselves.
Amrish, you're nodding, but give us your advice.
I would say that in stock markets, every day is an opportunity. So there is no need for you to go in tomorrow morning, first thing, punch in a trade. You need to do your homework. I would keep repeating that. And as an investor, I think it has to be election agnostic. If you are investing now, it has to be election agnostic. Should not be dependent on a specific event. And if you're a trader, then I think you should utilize this opportunity which is there right now and possibly go long. But at the same time, you should know that once you have booked a certain amount of profits, you should be booking out. Don't be too greedy.
All right. I'm going to quickly take a few questions. You had one at the back. Yes, go ahead.
Now we are talking about being more of investors rather than being traders. Now apart from equities, there are other financial instruments as well. So I'll use the term online investing platforms, right? So what is the industry doing about it to increase awareness among people and leveraging this platform to bring this financial trading, financial instruments on the online platform?
Well, I think most of these platforms have other investment avenues. I think you guys will know the mutual fund are available online. A lot of these platforms are trying to bring in other instrument. Gold, not directly, but through ETF, it's available there. So there are multiple opportunities of investing in other things through the online platform. Even IPOs you can bid through online platforms. So there are opportunities. Some of the platforms have also a real estate page, so you can go and try and look at real estate. You can look at, of course, commodity is available online in most of these platforms if you're doing commodity trading. So there are a wide range of products which you can invest in through the online platform. So I'm not saying that everything is available online through for the investment products, but by and large, a cross section of products are already available.
All right, you have a question.
Good evening, panel. I just want to ask that with increasing technological advancement and ever-enhancing safety measures of online trading platform, how it will help SEBI to introduce new financial products in the market as well as liberalize the current trading practices in India?
I think you should go for this.
See, the trading practices currently prevalent in the country are close to the best, if not the best in the world. So if anyone is under the impression that in America you will get better service standards on an online platform than in India, I'm sorry to disappoint you. India is already there. We may be called an emerging market because our economy is not completely open, but for all practical purposes we are as developed as any developing markets, especially so with our capital markets. So yes, while individual brokerage houses will continue to innovate, and innovation is the name of the game, that innovation will continue to happen, but in terms of either segments or product offerings or things like, innovation in our markets is something like BTST. Buy today, sell tomorrow. You have the 5-day product being offered by many brokerage houses. So there will be a constant stream of innovation that will keep coming. And you have to just keep looking at the horizon as to who's offering the best deal to you and which is best suited to your purpose.
Any more questions? Right. Yeah.
Yeah, my question is to all the panelists present here. Now, online trading platforms are such a big enablers that the instruments like option trading and all are basically very frequently used by Gen Y people which are not actually investors. So these are tools for price discovery. So when we are using it more of a trading mechanism rather than investing, does it not confuse the investors who are using it for a price discovery purpose?
I'd like to make one correction in your thought process, that options do not aid and abet price discovery. The price discovery happens in the underlying. Options are a synthetic product, so the price discovery depends on the underlying. And options takes its price from there, right? So that is, I think, where the basic argument is a little flawed.
And it's also used as a hedge. It should be used as a hedge and not as a speculative tool.
The other thing I'll tell you interesting, that speculators globally play a very important role in the market. If you don't have the speculators, the depth of the market will be low. So the real users will not get the depth. So it's important that speculator sometimes is a bad word and people use it in a derogatory manner, but they play a very important role. You must remember that in the market.
All right, unfortunately, I'm being told we've completely run out of time. I think what we've learned in this entire conversation is that while the online platforms make things much easier for you and me, it's now our responsibility to do our research. And of course, it eliminates the broker, the advice, and the middleman. That also means it eliminates somebody to blame. We're taking all of the responsibility on ourselves. So we have to do our research, make sure that we know what we're doing when we sign up and get online to trade. You can get back in touch with us if you have any questions. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us and answering our questions. That's a wrap. Thanks for watching.